Yo, this is Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation, baby.
Hello everyone, welcome to Dante's Boxing Nation. This is your host, Aki. Dante gave me the opportunity to post extra content on his platform, so I'm grateful for that. Feel free to subscribe to my channel on the description box below, and while you're at it, subscribe to Dante's Cooking and Travel Nation, and let's get straight to it. Anthony Joshua back in training camp, preparing for the rematch with Ruizs. So let's get straight to it. Now Anthony Joshua doing the right thing. He seemed very hungry, and if he get his mind right, mainly his mental, he could be very dangerous in the rematch. That's a 50-50 fight in my opinion. However, I do favor Ruiz, but if Anthony Joshua could follow a game plan like when he fought Parker and stay consistent with his jab and keep Ruiz in the outside, that's something he did not do in the first fight. He did not have a stiff, hard jab all night, and that's a punch that could keep your opponent away, doesn't waste a lot of stamina, and if you're able to control your opponent with the jab, you most likely will win the fight. Now Anthony Joshua made a lot of mistakes in the Ruiz fight. As far as when he hurt him, he jumped in there, tried to finish him when Ruiz wasn't badly hurt, and he got hurt in the process, and it took him 4 rounds to get knocked out. He couldn't recover in like 4 rounds. So what he got to do in a rematch with Ruiz is basically try not to get hit. But in boxing, if you box, you're going to get hit. Just like if you swim, you're going to get wet. But the main thing is not to get hit with the punches that's going to knock you out. So what Anthony Joshua need to do, since he got the size, he need to fight tall, jab to the body, but when you jab to the body, make sure it's a stiff, hard jab to the body, and then maybe set up a right hand up top like Floyd Mayweather does, and the way he knocked out Povetkin in a way. Another thing Anthony Joshua has to do is to work on his stamina, where he does not get gassed out in like 3 rounds. And one way to work on that is lean out a little bit. I feel like he'd be carrying too much muscle, and Andre Ward pointed that out, saying that he's built all wrong. For a boxer, you cannot be looking like a bodybuilder, so he need to focus on stamina and cardio more so, weightlifting and stuff like that. Now during the training camp, he need to work on a lot of things, like I said, and even when fighting in the inside, especially against a shorter fighter, you don't hook with a hooker, and if you do, keep your right hand up to block the incoming. So when he does throw combinations, he have to keep his hands up, because that's how he actually got knocked down and hurt. Also, like I said before, with Anthony Joshua, Eddie Hearn said he got concussion and he got memory loss, so he cannot spar for at least 3 months. He could train and work on techniques and things like that, work on pads, work on his cardio, and he could take advantage of that to stay in shape. Hopefully, for Anthony Joshua's sake, Ruiz eats Snickers all day, gain a lot of weight, and if that's the case, that could help his case. But he need to work on his cardio, mainly his physical and his mental as well, to stay in shape but not spar to recover, because your brain ain't supposed to be hit, especially not after you get concussion. So he need to recover for at least 3-4 months, and then he could start sparring after that, maybe light sparring, and after that he could pick it up. So like I said, at the end of the day, Anthony Joshua versus Ruiz rematch is a huge fight. However, Anthony Joshua just got to be careful and not make the same mistakes that he made last time. And can he pull off a Lennox Lewis? Yes, he can. However, I feel like in this case, Ruiz is not like Abraham, where he just caught Lennox Lewis with a punch. In this case, Ruiz was kind of doing great. And what Ruiz does, he's a counter puncher. He waits for Anthony Joshua to lead, and then he counters that. So Anthony Joshua got to be very careful, and like I said, try to keep Andy Ruiz in the outside with a stiff jab. He already doesn't have great head movement and great upper body movement, so he got to maintain his distance. And then whenever Ruiz does close the gap, he got to tie up in the inside, just like Klitschko used to do, and possibly or try to tire out Ruiz by leaning on him and stuff like that. Because Ruiz, even though he got good stamina for a guy his size, he does carry a lot of fat. So, if you lean on him, stuff like that, you could take a lot of his energy out of him and use his own momentum against him. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Anthony Joshua got a hard task at hand because Andy Ruiz, even though he's a shorter fighter, like I said, Anthony Joshua in the past, I already stated he does not like fighting short fighters because he got to punch down. Even though when you punch down, you got more velocity coming down, so you should be able to punch harder. But for his case, he said he don't like fighting shorter fighters, which he better be glad he actually fighting a shorter fighter like Ruiz, because if Ruiz was his size, it'd be a nightmare. Ruiz could reach him without having to close the gap. So actually the fact that Ruiz is a shorter fighter does help Anthony Joshua, but Ruiz knows how to fight tall men. He's been fighting tall fighters his whole career, so he knows how to close the gap. He got great defense, and he's very calm when he stalks you. Doesn't burn a lot of energy. It's like when he was fighting Anthony Joshua, he was so calm in there. It was like he was fighting another fight. It didn't seem like he was fighting the champion, or he didn't let the moment get to him. But Anthony Joshua did. He let the moment get to him. There was rumors that he had a panic attack. It could be excuses. Maybe it's true, but at the end of the day, Anthony Joshua got to be mentally right to win this fight. If he does not get his mental straight, where he does not feel the pressure of the fans and just focus and have a tunnel vision on Andy Ruiz, he's going to have a hard time winning this rematch, because at the end of the day, I know he looked happy as hell after the loss, because he said it was a lot of pressure taken off of him. But there shouldn't be no pressure at all when you're in the ring, just you and your opponent. You shouldn't let that get to you at all, because you should use that to your advantage more so to your disadvantage. Because if you had 7,000 UK fans that flew out, according to Eddie Hearn, even though you're not supposed to believe anything Eddie Hearn say, but we let him slide this time, then you pretty much at home. I know you're finding new territory, but the arena's still the same, the ring's still the same, and you shouldn't be thinking about losing, because like Floyd Mayweather said, he never thought about losing. Speak it, believe it, receive it. Like Deontay Wilder said, if you start thinking about losing, you might lose. If you put that in your mind, it might happen. If you're married and you see a fine lady and you let the temptation get to you and you start thinking about all type of things, you might actually do it and cheat on your wife, right? So same thing applied to the sport of boxing. If you start thinking about losing, as soon as there's doubts in the fight, that's gonna always come back to you. So you should never think about losing, period. Always have to have a winning mindset. And Anthony Joshua said he thinks about losing. That's the wrong mindset to have. So that's what I mean by overcoming his mental is the main thing for Anthony Joshua to win the fight, more so than his physical. Especially if you're getting tired in the third round, that has to do with your mental than your physical, because that's not supposed to happen. If you out here running and training like you're supposed to, I know he carries a lot of muscle, but that's not something that should happen, especially if you sparring, you going 12 rounds, no problem. Then in the arena, 3 rounds, you're already tired. Then that means you're thinking about what's going on outside of the arena, more so what's going on inside the arena during the fight, or I should say outside the ring, more so inside the ring during the fight, because you're letting your nerves get the best of you. That's all I'm saying. So subscribe below if you're trying to get smart about it, and if you're trying to get dumb about it. Second, don't listen to these casual ass fans. And peace. We out.